Business Brain, episode 587 for Casual Friday, October 4th, National Body Language Day, 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take an idea or three, we crunch it, we analyze it, we dissect it, we use it to help tune our business brains collectively. Each of us, we're tuning our business brains, you're tuning your business brains. We do it together each and every episode. Back here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And back here out in Lafayette, California, I'm Shannon Jean.
Yeah, we had some traveling, man.
We did. It was good. I traveled with my lovely wife and my 96-year-old mother.
Amazing.
So it was, yeah, she was a trooper. And but it's like traveling with a little kid, you know.
Sure.
When you have someone that old, you got to manage everything. But yeah. It worked out much better, or less. Let me say this, less problematic.
Yeah.
than I thought. So
well, that's the key. The mindset is everything, right?
It is. Yeah, she was great. Like we finally got. I just bought her one of these fancy 3-wheeled walkers to take to New York City, and she wasn't very happy. She's like, "No, I'm not using that." And I said, "Well, if you want to come as we walk around the city, you should try this." And she fell in love with it, and she walked 2.3 miles in Central Park. And
what?
I told her, I tracked her on her phone. I said, you haven't walked 2.3 miles in a decade. So the walker, she felt so much more comfortable because from a balance standpoint,
sure,
that her breathing was much better. And I said, because when you're kind of stumbling around, you're so paranoid that you're kind of breathing a little faster. And so
there's a stress reaction.
Yeah,
there.
it was shocking. It was wonderful. Yeah, but
that's amazing.
It was cool.
Oh,
great trip.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. I traveled with members of our population at the other end of the age spectrum. I was down in Disney World actually both ends. My father-in-law's 80th birthday. He decided he wanted to take the whole family to Disney World, which included three children, three of his grandchildren under the age of 5.
Wow.
And so, but going into this, we knew that we had to set mindset. We knew that we couldn't expect it to be what Disney World would be if it was just my wife and I, or just my wife and my son and I, who my son is in his 20s. We were going to be not only coordinating with 9 additional people on top of the 3 of us, but people with very different expectations and pacing and drive and all of that. And
do you just, I imagine when you're with that group, you just kind of go with the flow because you're not going to.
Correct.
Go. Okay. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. We set our expectations much lower than we needed to, but again, there's value in that.
Yes, I agree.
As you just pointed out. And, but we did plan one additional day there where it was just the 3 of us. They wanted to make sure we made it to Galaxy's Edge. We're all Star Wars fans, they have this whole Star Wars dude.
Really nice.
If you are a Star Wars fan or an Avatar fan, they have an Avatar world at Animal Kingdom and a Galaxy's Edge Star Wars world at Hollywood Studios. It's like you're there.
That's cool.
It's amazing.
Awesome.
Not just the rides, but just the whole environment. Really, really well done. But we knew, and that one great part for me about this that was sort of a silver lining, but an extremely valuable silver lining, was that the family went down on Friday night. I did not fly down until early Sunday morning because I had some gigs that had been scheduled before this somewhat last-minute trip was kind of pulled together.
Okay.
So I made it down after they had a full day in the park to sort of figure out what it was like doing this with the family and how there were moments where everybody sort of split off, like when the young kids, when it became their nap time and they were going back to the hotel. That's when my wife and son and maybe, 2 or 3 other people would go off and do some big kid rides and
Yes.
things like that, which is fine. And they realized on the first day that waiting in line sucks.
Yes.
Yeah. I know this is self-evident, but there is a thing now at Disney World. They have changed it, and it's called Lightning Lane. Now,
it used to be like Fast Pass or something.
Yeah, there was Fast Pass. There was, Fast Pass was free. You just had to go to the ride and like get a ticket for a certain time or whatever. This Lightning Lane you pay for. Now, we were paying about $15 per person per day to get this. There was a Lightning Lane multi-pass. That price changes depending on whether the park is really busy or not. At this time of year, it's far less busy than it is in, say, July and August. So I think it was probably $25 per person per day to do. But the way it works is you can book 3 rides in advance at any given time, and you do it all on your phone.
Nice.
So you don't even have to be in the park to book the ride.
Oh, okay.
Right? You can plan ahead, and if you're park hopping, you can do all of that. And once you book time slots, right? So, you get there and it's like, okay, this is the slot I was able to get. As soon as you check in for the ride, you've now, that pass is now freely available to you to book something else.
Oh, okay.
Correct. And so management, and again, this is the great part. And I say that this segment is the value of teaching others to use their business brains. The value to me of teaching others to use their business brains is by the time I got there, my wife and my son had sussed this all out.
Yeah,
I was the passenger prince, man.
Yeah, that's
I just showed up and they're like, okay, here's what we've got. Here's what we're doing. And I was like, okay, I'm happy to be here. Good to go.
Awesome.
And it's funny because, and so we were able to do every single ride that we wanted to do at least once, if not more than once. And on Tuesday, which was the day that we had by ourselves, we actually were able to do 3 parks in one day.
Wow.
It was a long day.
Yeah, sure.
But we managed the transportation the right way, so we were never kind of driving ourselves nuts waiting for buses. We never waited in a single line for a ride. We put on 27,000 steps or something. Like, you know, obviously,
you gotta hustle.
You got to hustle. But we never were running anywhere. We were never rushed. It was all a very relaxed thing. And it was because of this Lightning Lane allowing us to really plan things. Well, I say us. It was the royal us. Allowing them to really plan things for the 3 of us. And we were doing it the whole time. They didn't do them the first day. By the time I got there, like I said, they had just given up. And I say given up because they didn't. The initial thought was, well, we don't need to pay for the Lightning Lane. We can just kind of do this on our own.
Right.
And the reality was, well, if you look at the price that you are, the all-in price that you are paying to be there, so the time away from, your work, your life, whatever that is. So that's one. The flights down, the hotels, the passes for the parks that you're paying for each day. $15 per person is a rounding error.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to get so much more value if you broke it down. Like, let's say you're going for attractions, whether it's a ride or a world or whatever you're going
events,
into.
Whatever.
Events, I would say you measure the value in the number. So if that extra $15 gets you into 10 more things that you otherwise wouldn't do, and you're absolutely right, man. Waiting in line is just such a waste of time. There's always a price worth paying to get out of that line.
Oh, I agree. And we learned this as a family when we planned, and this was 10 years ago, maybe more. We planned a trip to Europe. And as with every trip, your time in whatever place you are is limited.
Yes.
Like that is usually predefined, but regardless, it's a fixed amount of time and it costs you money to be there. And waiting in line, unless your vacation experience is such that you want to be waiting in line, skip the line. Pay to skip. And we did that. Lisa, when we were trying to get into the Eiffel Tower, she was planning it ahead and she's like, people say the lines are 3 or 4 hours long. I'm like, oh man,
No
I don't
way,
know about
dude.
this.
Yeah, that's
and she's like,
insane.
wait, I found this thing, and it'll cost us like $75 for the family to do this skip the line tour of the Eiffel Tower. She's like, and it was, it was like, okay, that like maybe it was $100 for the family or something. I mean, it was enough money that it was like, okay, well, $100 can be spent on lots of different things.
Sure.
But I'm like, think about those 4 hours.
We get the line.
We get to maximize our time there. We pay either in time, waiting in line, downtime, or we pay in cash.
Yeah, exactly.
And I knew if I were there, I would have lobbied for the lightning lane passes right away. But the best part was that my family was using their business brains before they ever even talked with me. And it was like, oh, this is a huge win. Huge. You've already solved these problems.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
That business brain is this, concept of always solving problems. That's just the way it is.
Yes.
I just, posted this on fall in love with problem solving and you're unstoppable, right? It's just, don't complain about it. That is your job. No problems, no business. So it's constantly looking at it like, okay, today we're going to get up. What problems are we solving? Today we're solving for waiting in line because there's just doesn't make any sense. And Dave's coming down for one day or whatever it is. A few days.
Less
so
time.
Less time. How do we maximize it?
And the whole family loved it.
Yeah,
like, they were all in.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, there was nothing about this trip that was economically sound.
No,
I mean,
of course
we're
not.
bringing 12 people to Disney World. We were bringing 12 people to Disney World with 45 days notice. So we we overpaid
for everything. Yes.
For everything. Great. Okay.
That's just
correct.
That's what you're getting. You had somebody, an older person that wanted to go with everybody. That's just the way it works. You go.
That's the way it was. Yeah. He was like, I want to bring the family to Disney World for my 80th birthday.
When I took my kids and a friend, we took our kids to the NFL experience when the Super Bowl was out here.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to spend the crazy, outrageous, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for a Super Bowl ticket. My kid is crazy 49er fan, and they were little at that time. But I said, hey, let's do this NFL experience. It's all this great stuff, and it's a lot of fun. It was amazing. During checkout, I saw this just small little line that said VIP experience $20. And I said, well, I'm a VIP.
For $20, I can be a VIP too.
Yeah, so I clicked this $20 thing saying, whatever, we'll get some little package or something for the kids and everything's great. It was amazing. They got every event we went to when there was a very long line, autographs, catch with players, all this stuff. They would see your VIP pass and walk you up to the exit where people were leaving this event and walk you right on. And everybody was looking at me like, what the heck? And I was just like, hey, it was $20. Why didn't you do it?
You can do this.
Why didn't you do it? It was great.
That's the thing. These lightning lane passes, I'm curious to see how it evolves at Disney World because they just rolled this out, I think July, maybe June. So it's not very old. And prior to this, there's always been pay for a concierge to a tune of about $5,000 a day. But otherwise, it was all free. You just had to manage it on your own.
Yeah.
And now it's for pay. And so a lot of Disney regulars, I'll say, are upset about this. And there's an emotional distancing from, I'm not going to buy into that. Forget that.
I think an emotional distancing from Disney is probably a good idea for those people.
Yeah.
in general.
In general. But like the people that are going there are a lot of the sort of, again, the Disney regulars are not buying these lightning lanes yet because they're against it in principle.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to get over that. Or don't. I'm fine if you don't want to. But if you're a listener to this show, I am telling you, I had no issues with the principle going in because I don't go to Disney often.
Yes.
It had been 10 years or something. And so it made perfect sense to us to pay for these lightning passes. We had already paid for the lightning passes for the final day because we knew we wanted to pack everything in.
Yeah.
And then we just wound up paying for them for every other day too, which was fine. Yeah,
that's great. I'm glad you had a great time.
It worked out.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I like a few days, maybe before you left, but I think it was before we left on your trip. I uploaded there was a new, I don't know how new it is, but Google has an AI called Notebook LM.
Yes.
And I uploaded, so I was curious of what it does. And basically, one of the things it does is you could upload a text to it, and it creates, a Q&A, so you can ask questions to your text, or it'll do all this kind of stuff, which is cool. But the other thing that it does is it will create a kind of in a podcast format, a couple of AI voices talking about the text that you upload. So I was like, this is interesting. So I uploaded my book, eBay Unlocked, just to see. I was like, it's been out for a few years.
Yeah, of course.
I'll donate it to the AI gods. And it came back.
They already have it, Shannon.
I'm sure you're right. And it came back with this, what I thought was an incredible conversation. I posted it on X. I learned how I had to turn it. I used audiogram to make it into an MP4 or whatever. From a WAV file. But Dave, rightly so, had some critique on it and this kind of stuff. But the point is, what was interesting is it pulled out highlights from my book, that some things I had forgot and terms that I had used. I was very interesting. And one of those terms was this thing I call lifetime SEO.
Okay.
And so in the context of the book about eBay, the way I was using it is, even when an item sells, or when you end a listing, let's say it sells on another platform, all of the data that's there stays there forever, or until, eBay purges whatever, but I don't think they do. But your listings are there, let's just say for years, but we'll call it lifetime.
Okay.
And that continues to help drive traffic to your business and your other listings, because eBay is constantly, and these other marketplaces, Poshmark, they're spending millions of dollars on SEO to get your listings to come up in search results off platform.
Yep.
So the concept in the book is that, don't delete anything. Don't ever delete a listing. Just end it. Okay, end this thing. And so you build up over time this big library that helps your search engine optimization for the rest of your business. And it doesn't matter what marketplace you're on. Poshmark does the same thing, everything. But as I listened to this, I also started thinking this term lifetime SEO, it really can be much broader, in that everything we create, whether it's listings I create on eBay, this podcast, posts on social media, we are creating this lifetime SEO for ourselves, for our brand, whether it's your company responding to a negative review on Yelp or Google, and how you respond. Everything you put online is part of your lifetime SEO package. So you need to think of, in this context, of whatever I write is going to be there forever. Whatever you write.
I've always said the internet's like Las Vegas. Whatever happens there stays there forever.
Yeah. So the comments you make on a podcast, the interview you do, a blog post that you upload, something you post on X or Facebook or whatever, just think about that narrative that you're creating. I mean, you want to be authentic and natural. I think you're more successful if you're that way.
Sure.
But you also need to think about what you're sharing, and maybe more importantly, how you share it. We just did an episode on how you present something is just as important on what you present.
Yes.
So how you present and the framework, like Dave could have easily posted a big negative diatribe about the nightmare lines at Disney, and now they had to squeeze him for another $15. But instead, he uses a framework of, man, this was so great because my family was using their business brain to realize that $15 was an incredible investment in buying back our time.
And making the money, the sunk cost that we had already done,
That's right.
we gave more
Way more
value to
valuable.
our sunk cost. Way more valuable.
Way more valuable.
Way more valuable.
Yeah. So I just thought, I've started to think more, the books I've published, all these shows, we've got 587 episodes.
Yeah.
We've got all this stuff. And maybe it's because I'm getting older and start thinking about, I don't know, your legacy or what your, all this stuff that you do. But I just think it's something to think about. It's something to make a note of, that you're constantly building your lifetime SEO. And what do you want that to say? What do you want people to search for that you're going to come up and be the search result? What terms do you want to be associated with? Optimism, quality, value, or complaints and negativity, and whatever. It's your choice.
Yeah,
you get to decide and build out your lifetime SEO. So
I like this. It's something we're all doing.
Yep.
Anyway, it's good to be intentional about it. I love it, man.
Yeah. I find that when I attach these terms to it, like whether you're talking about mistakes or tuition, or did list, lifetime SEO, it helps me keeping them front of mind and being conscious about it to remember it. So
yeah,
cool.
I like it.
Awesome.
That's great. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. One episode this week, as we said. So we will see you next week for 2 episodes.
Back to our regularly scheduled podcast.
That's right. Let us know how you're using your big business brain, or how you need help using your business brain, at feedback@businessbrain.show. We'd love to hear from you. And have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend, folks. Yeah.
Have fun. Keep on living that charmed life. Beat the system. And we'll see you next week.